MIAA Monday, back with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy. Sir, it's been a minute, but thank you for coming on with me today.
Yeah, good to see you again, Chris.
A lot's kind of, I guess, transpired since we last talked, and more so than anything else, we're starting to see college athletes, student athletes back on campus getting ready to go for the fall seasons. But I guess we've also kind of seen some stuff transpire with universities too. I know Northwest Missouri State with a mask policy coming out for COVID-19 with the Delta variant. We talked about it at MIAA Media Day too. There's a lot you guys are still juggling with COVID-19 and kind of where every school sits at more than anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Delta variant is sure throwing a curveball, Chris, in everyone's plans, especially here in the Midwest. And the MIAA sitting here on August 9th, we continue to monitor and see what's coming out of Indianapolis with the NCAA and guidance from the CDC and conversations that we're continuing to have with our COVID-19 task force for the conference. Our athletic administrators have met twice for discussions about COVID policy. They have another meeting scheduled next week. Our presidents are scheduled to meet on August the 18th. And obviously at that point, August 18th, we hope to have some concrete decisions on what policies need to look like for MIAA competition for the fall. So there's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of things that we're monitoring and trying to stay on top of. And, the policies are still developed in a way that, it looks like these decisions on testing and masking and social distance and who gets tested and how often and all of those decisions. I think right now we're still saying that can be made at the local level, a college or university making those decisions based on kind of the facts on the ground. How many individuals on your team have been vaccinated, kind of what's your immunity level, what's the spread of disease and hospitalizations look like in your community, and making those decisions, in cooperation with local health authorities. That's kind of where we still stand. Unlike last year where we kind of took an approach where everyone had to be doing the same thing related to testing, and we're just we're in different places. Things going on in southern Missouri is a little different right now than what we see in Kearney, Nebraska. So right now that's kind of where we're at, but again, that could change here in the next couple of weeks.
Is that still the most challenging part? Is this all could change on you guys within, I would say, a week, but maybe 3 days, 4 days. I mean, is that the biggest challenge facing everything right now too?
I think it's certainly a challenge, and it's also frustrating. You plan and plan and plan, and then conditions change, and you've got to go to plan B or plan C. So the challenge, the hard part is just trying to stay on top of all of this, and 1 week guidance is that if you've been vaccinated, you don't need to worry about masking, and then that changes, and so that's frustrating. That's tough, but we want to do everything we can to accomplish two goals. The first goal is do everything we can to keep these student athletes and anyone that's going to be involved with them, coaches, officials, any team personnel, safe. And that's goal one. We've got to do what we can to make sure that we're not putting anyone at risk. And then the second goal is, while we're doing that, we've got to do everything we can to make sure that we're having sports seasons. We don't want to go through what we went through last fall. And we want to make sure that we provide our student athletes with the opportunity to do what they love to do, and that's to compete. And so we want to do everything feasibly possible to get our students on the practice fields and then back on the courts competing. We've got to be able to do those two things. You know, the one thing that we have going in our favor, Chris, and I try to remind our membership of this every chance I get, there is still not a documented case of the spread of COVID in an athletic competition, in a game, in a basketball game, a football game, a volleyball game,
Right.
A professional, college, high school. There are all sorts of examples of the spread of COVID in people sitting in a team meeting or a film session or riding on a bus together, but actually on the court, the transmission in a practice or a game, there's no documented case. And there are probably a number of reasons for that. You know, you just think about a basketball game. You know, you're not next to the same person more than about
Right.
5 or 10 seconds, and then you're moving. And so, you know, I think at least as far as I sit and what I hear on calls that I'm on from the NCAA and the CDC, the activity of sport is safe. And, you know, we need to keep that in mind as we're trying to figure out these protocols and what, you know, what we ask student athletes and coaches and others to do in helping to manage COVID-19 on their campuses and in their communities. So, you know, I remain hopeful. I remain very hopeful that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, by the time we're ready to play, the numbers that we're seeing in certain communities in the MIAA that right now are alarming, that begins to settle down. We can get students back on campus. We can do that in a safe way, and we could start the MIAA seasons also in a safe way.
Let's hope so. We have a lot of student athletes, a lot of coaches ready to get back and going, and want to stay with the NCAA a little bit here. Not been a boring summer from the NCAA perspective. Mark Emmert, the president, wants to convene a constitutional convention to look at changes to college athletics. From your perspective, that seems like a lot, number one. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of, you know, the big words kind of thrown in there, the constitutional convention changes. What does that say to you about initially where we are right now at the NCAA?
Well, I think this continues to be a reaction, Chris, to, I think, you know, a very frustrated national office and membership organization with the Supreme Court case from this past spring and summer. You know, the Alston Supreme Court decision announced in June, you know, continues to send, I think, shockwaves through the NCAA membership on trying to figure out what a new day in college sports looks like with an NCAA that the Supreme Court at least has indicated is much weaker in its ability to establish rules and provide oversight in a regulatory system for college athletics, and do that in a way that doesn't run afoul of antitrust laws and concerns. And I think President Emmert's call for a constitutional convention is a reaction to that, to say, you know, look, the Supreme Court is really saying that, you know, our authority is somewhat limited, and we've got to perhaps figure out a new system that puts this authority for rulemaking and enforcement and governance more at the conference level, the local level. And so he's called a special group And this has all been approved by the NCAA Board of Governors. They've authorized this, that a small group of about 22, 23 people will be assembled beginning in mid-August to start to think about what a new NCAA might look like and how it would work and how it would function and what's the structure look like, what's the authority, what are the key principles of NCAA membership that they're trying to protect. And so all of that is supposed to happen by mid-November, when a special convention will be convened, and that convention, Chris, will be that special convention will be done by video conference, and to think about more than 1,100 member schools coming together on a video conference in November to start to think about a new NCAA. That's a little overwhelming. And the thought is that special convention will narrow a focus on actual rules that need to be changed, bylaws in the Constitution that need to be modified, and that'll be voted on by the full membership, all three divisions, when they get together in January. Chris, the last time this was done to modify the NCAA structure, I was actually an employee at the NCAA office in the mid-1990s. I was assigned to work on this project, supporting the presidents in all three divisions, and that process took a year and a half. It took leading up to the 1996 convention about 6 months of work, and then it culminated in divisional legislation that had to be approved at the 97 convention. So about 18 months of work that I was involved in, and to think about that we're gonna be able to accomplish maybe some of those same goals in 3 or 4 months is a bit overwhelming. But I think the Division II membership, if I had to summarize kind of where we stand, I think our view is that we're very happy with the structure and the process that works in Division II. We've shown that we can make big changes, and we've shown that we can collectively come together, and every school and conference gets one vote, and it's a very, very democratic process. And we've also shown that the division can react quickly and be nimble and flexible when it needs to. So I think the Division II membership is genuinely okay with the way things work in the NCAA. Division I, not so much. But to make these type of significant changes, Chris, Division I will need Division II and Division III's vote. It will require a 2/3 vote of all 1,100 member schools to approve any changes. So Division I is going to have to find ways to convince Division II and Division III that these changes are necessary. These changes are important for them, and that these changes are also beneficial and good for Division II and Division III to sign on. So a lot to watch here in the next couple of months to see where this goes.
Can that be difficult this time around? You look at everything that's going on with NIL and the Alston case and everything else. Can that be difficult for Division I to get Division II and Division III behind them to get that 2/3 vote? Because we've talked about Division I before, but what the SEC is doing right now, it's almost building a power even bigger than it already is. I mean, can that be difficult to get Division II, Division III to get on their side in this?
Yeah, it will be very difficult, and part of it's just that where the schools in each division are, and really the fundamental philosophies of membership in those three divisions are so different in what college sports means and what it does for the university. You know, there's a big element of entertainment and business that relates to Division I athletics. You know, a lot of Division III is driven by the individual, the student experience, what an individual gets out of participation in intercollegiate athletics. It's a non-scholarship division, and it's really a lot of institutions, sports help drive enrollment. Division II, you know, it's a place where we've kind of got the best of both worlds. We offer athletic scholarship. We recruit highly skilled student athletes to come to our universities, but it's still a place where graduation is paramount. And the sport is, for a lot of reasons, important for the community. And what game day means for, you know, local businesses and alumni and gathering back on campus and all of those things. So, you know, the divisions are in completely different places of why have sport? Why does intercollegiate athletics need to be, you know, still part of higher education? And it'll be you know, I think it'll be important, and it'll also be challenging to get everyone on the same page. The one thing that Division I has going for it, Chris, is, and this is not lost on Division II and III. In fact, it's top of mind in Division II and III. Division I funds the associations. So everything that Division II and Division III have as far as finances from the NCAA, paying for championships, national office services, revenue distributions into the membership, all of that stems from Division I's media contract for the broadcast of March Madness. And so, you know, to some extent, Division I can kind of dictate where they want to go. And then Division II and III are going to have to evaluate, you know, is this important? Is this meaningful change that doesn't disrupt what we appreciate about the way the NCAA works, but is a way that helps protect the financial model for intercollegiate athletics that lets so many Division II and Division III student athletes have great national championship experiences. So those are the challenges that, you know, like I said, we've got to sort through here the next 4 or 5 months.
Is there a way you see this not working out for Division II, Division III, if everybody votes with Division I on what's kind of being proposed there? Is there a way that you see this, maybe, I don't want to say worst case scenario, because I don't think that's maybe the right words, but is there a way that this doesn't end up helping Division II, Division III?
Well, you know, the doomsday scenario is if this doesn't work and it helps splinter the NCAA, and splintering or fracturing of the NCAA at this point, you know, economically is a disaster for Division II and III. If Division I doesn't get what they want and they decide that the NCAA can no longer, you know, meet its needs as a membership association, where they would go, what they would do, I don't know. I think that's always a challenge for them. You know, I think the large Division I schools enjoy a lot of cover from being part of a higher ed association that includes schools that offer partial scholarships or no athletic scholarships. And it allows, I think, this cover to allow big institutions that you know, have business models for their athletics department to still enjoy a lot of tax incentives and you know, being treated as nonprofit higher ed associations. So what the big schools would do and how they would get there, I don't know, but that's a risk, is the splintering or fracturing of the NCAA. I want to look at this though as a real opportunity for Division II and Division III. I think one of the things that the Knight Commission has suggested as part of this, Chris, is that football should be disassociated from the NCAA altogether. Let football exist within its own structure, within its own community, with its own leadership. Take that out of the NCAA and figure out what the NCAA looks like minus football. Now, what does that mean for Division II football, Division III football? I don't know. Maybe a higher profile within the NCAA structure. Maybe a reimagined 3 divisions for football that provide even an upper level of Division II that the MIAA would certainly want to be a part of. What does that look like if the college football playoff structure is completely removed from NCAA governance? So there's some opportunities here for Division II and Division III, and we need to enter into these conversations the next 4 months, thinking about how does this benefit our membership, and how can we take advantage of these discussions and the things that Division I would like to see happen. How can we use that to our advantage and better position the MIAA and its member schools in this new reimagined NCAA, whatever that looks like.
I'm sure I'll have plenty more questions, but I'll get you out of here on this one with this. You talked about the first time back when you were part of this in the 90s, about an 18-month process.
Right.
Why is this one? Why are they moving so quickly on this one to make it almost 4 months instead of a year and a half or 2-year a deal? But now it's 4 months. Let's go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in Division II and Division III have asked that. Why? What's the hurry? Let's do this, but let's take our time and spread it out over maybe a couple of legislative cycles and a couple of NCAA conventions. And the NCAA Board of Governors, and I think they're probably hearing this from President Emmert, they are really feeling a sense of urgency that these issues need to be resolved quickly and in a very timely manner. And therefore, the short period when these groups can meet, come together with some recommendations, put them in front of the group being the entire membership, all 3 divisions in November during a special convention, and then actually voting on all this stuff in January. So I think they feel without that type of urgency, there would be kind of a business as usual attitude at the Division I level, and they don't want that. They want Division I membership to share their sense of urgency that with the Alston case, with name, image, likeness, with all of the discussions swirling around about conference realignment in Division I, this needs to be resolved and resolved quickly. And Division I needs to prioritize this as the first thing that needs to happen that will help set the table for all of these other challenging issues.
As far as I can recall, and memory can be spotty at times, you talk about the Alston case, name, image, likeness, conference realignment, but did we start seeing some of this divide even more between the NCAA and Division I last year during the pandemic, where I, for one, thought that if NCAA said we're not doing this, it's basically, set in stone, we're not doing it. Then you start seeing the SEC coming out and playing, and then Big Ten. and start seeing maybe the cracks in, does the NCAA control the Division I? So is that maybe where some of this accelerated to? Is this kind of seeing conferences go out on their own?
Yeah, I think this has been brewing for a while, Chris, and I think you're right. I think we saw some of this play out last year in kind of testing, the who has authority and who can make decisions, and do we move forward as a group, or does everyone kind of take care of what's best for its own conference and membership? And yeah, we certainly saw that play out in the pandemic, and continue to see that play out. And there's an important component for any organization is trust and confidence. And I think especially on the Division I side, I think that's waned a little bit. I think we see less trust, less confidence in the NCAA, less trust among its members, and that's why we see some of these things playing out, really testing who has authority and who has power to make decisions. Fortunately, like I said, Division II seems to work pretty well. I do think there is trust and cooperation and kind of a universal appreciation for who we are as a division and how we operate, and this balance that exists for our student athletes and the type of experience we want them to have. And some of those fundamental values, philosophies are shared by every school in Division II. The schools that are certainly competing for national championships that are part of our conference, the MIAA, to schools that are relatively new in the division and trying to find their way. Those values are shared, and I think that's that's important, and that's makes us feel good about Division II. But we need Division I. We need Division I to be happy. We need the division to be satisfied that the membership they have in the NCAA is the right membership, the right fit. It works well for them. And so I enter these next 4 months as, whatever I can do to make Division I feel better about the association and the way it works. I want to try to find a way to do that because Division II and Division III needs Division I membership.
MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, should be a fascinating 4 months, and hopefully the next few weeks with the COVID pandemic, we kind of get a sense of things easing up a little bit here in the next few weeks too, before we hit the fall calendar. And once we hit that, it's kind of everything's just rolling forward at that point, it feels like. Yeah,
Chris, I can't wait till on one of these Monday podcasts we can actually have some conversations about the big plays and the big games that had just happened the weekend. Seems like we've spent our entire summer talking about complex, challenging legal and medical issues, but we'll be playing soon, and I look forward to our next conversation.
It's going to be a lot of fun. MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Chris.